Welcome to Spiedel's California Minute. I'm your host, Catherine Zidane. This week, we're covering what a tax professional needs to know about LLC filing requirements. Spiedel's post-tax season update and review webinar will provide answers to all the questions that pop up during tax season. For details, go to caltax.com and click webinars. And as we do each year, this podcast will be on hiatus through tax season, and you'll be receiving the Tax Season Tribune, which is a short weekly newsletter that has lighter fare than our regular content. The podcast will resume on April 21st. We've received numerous questions on our message board concerning LLCs. These questions arise frequently, so we thought we'd share our responses here. The first question is, if a California resident sets up a single-member LLC in another state, does the LLC need to file in California? There will be no business transactions in California, and all the investment income will be coming from other states. The answer is yes. If the member is a resident, they're required to file Form 568 and pay the $800 annual tax. An out-of-state LLC whose assets are real property located in another state is generally subject to California's annual LLC tax if one or more managing members are California residents. If an LLC has a California member, the FTB presumes that the entity is doing business in California, and the taxpayer has to present facts to show otherwise. The next common question is, a California single-member LLC is solely owned by an out-of-state corporation. We filed Form 568 for the LLC and Form 1120 for the corporation, but does the out-of-state corporation also have to file a California return? Yes, the corporation will also have to file a California return because the out-of-state corporation is considered to be doing business in California as a result of its ownership of the California LLC. Another question is, an LLC was formed in early 2023, and because it did no business, it was canceled with the Secretary of State using the short form by the end of the year. The $800 tax was never paid. Is a tax return still required in this case, given that no business was done? One of the conditions of a short form cancellation is that the final tax return was or will be filed. If that's the case, it sounds like we need to file a zero return for the LLC and show zero LLC tax on that return. This is correct. As long as the LLC was canceled or dissolved within 12 months of filing its articles of organization, it's exempt from the $800 annual tax. To qualify for the exemption, however, the final return has to be timely filed by the extended due date. If the return is not timely filed, then you should consider applying to the FTB for a voluntary administrative dissolution to avoid having to pay the $800 annual tax. Another question we hear quite frequently is, can a married couple have a single-member LLC if they're both members? And if so, can only one of the spouses report all of the income and expenses on their return, or do they have to split all of the income and expenses? The answer is yes. In California, a community property state, a married couple can be a single-member LLC. If the LLC is owned by both spouses, it's a community asset, and all income and expenses would be split between the two spouses. And last, my client has a rental property in an LLC that was previously their primary residence. Do they need to deed the rental property into an LLC if it's still in the client's name? Are there any tax implications or property tax implications? And the answer is, if the taxpayer hasn't changed the title to the LLC, it's not in the LLC. There are no tax implications to transferring it to the LLC as long as the taxpayer's ownership percentage in the entity is the same as their ownership percentage in the property. But you do have to file a change in ownership statement with the county assessor to keep the Proposition 13 value. In the upcoming March issue of Spiedel's California Tax Letter, we'll cover these issues in more detail, plus other questions that we regularly receive regarding LLCs. For details on a subscription to this monthly newsletter, go to caltax.com and click Publications. That's all for this week. Have a productive tax season, and Spiedel's California Minute will return for its 9th season on April 21st.